Nicole wrote in saying, if you had to pick a new name for yourself, what name would you pick? I would pick Jim Bob because I just think it would be hilarious to say, hey, my name's Jim Bob Pakman. I'm an Argentinian Jew. And I think that would, just to get a reaction from people, I think it'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, it's so tough because Pat is my identity. Now vegan producer Pat is my identity. So to change it, I can't even imagine that. But if I was to change it, it would be just something completely out there. Ubaldo, maybe Edmund, something like that.
Edmund?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I wonder why that can't be totally random. There must be some reason you said Edmund.
It just came to my mind. I mean, I have a lot of random thoughts in my head, and that was the one that came.
I'm kind of kidding about Jim Bob, but I did find out that my name was, so had I been born a girl, I was going to be Jessica Pakman, which would be interesting. But the second option for my first name as a boy behind David was Max, which may not be shocking to a lot of people based on my family background. Max Pakman, I kind of like that. I think
that's pretty good.
This could be the Max Pakman show right now. But my entire world would be different if I was Max Pakman, right?
Coming from an Irish family, there's, as you would imagine, more than one Patrick.
Right.
So my stepbrother and some of his cousins started calling me Peefy, which takes the P from my first name and the F from my last name.
Right.
And I thought at first, if I just kind of ignore this, it'll fizzle out, it'll go away. That's the right approach you should take, because if you seem like it's bothering you, then they're going to keep doing it.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought it would just fizzle out. It's still here. It's
Shockingly, there's only 2 people named Patrick Ford in Boston.
Really?
No,
that
I'm
you
kidding.
Can see.
I'm kidding.
I'm
sure there's hundreds.
I worked with another Patrick Ford. I mean, in a company that had a few hundred people.
Yeah.
But I worked with someone with the exact same name as me.
No, I think if we were to look it up, you know what's insane? I mean, part of this is because of just the population of New York City. But I was, one of my bandmates when I was in New York was Eddie Torres, okay? And Eddie, you would assume is short for what?
Edward, Edwin, or
Exactly.
Edmund.
Right.
Which we already talked about today.
I think the number one would be it's short for Edward. But with Eddie, it was short for Edwin. And he told me that once he looked up how many Edwin Torreses there were registered to vote just in New York City. And it was way too many to even count. So
Wow.
then he said, I decided to look how many Edwin, his middle initial Torreses are there. Right? So let's imagine just for a second, I'm not going to actually say what his middle name is. I don't want someone to find Eddie and start harassing him, but let's say his middle initial was X, right? He looked up how many Edwin X Torreses are there registered to vote in New York. So this doesn't include people not registered and kids. There were 11 Edwin X Torreses registered to vote just in New York City alone. You wouldn't think if I said to you, how common is the name Edwin X Torres, that just in New York City there were 11 people with that name?
Yeah, I mean, what's the population of New York? 8 million people or
Roughly,
something?
yeah.
And, it's very diverse. So I think pretty much any name that you plug in there's going to be people with the exact same name as you.
Yep. Not David Pakman, though.
Really?
There is another David Pakman with a different middle initial.
I've seen him,
who works in New York City, but doesn't live in New York City. I've known him for a while, actually.
He's probably not too happy that whenever he searches his name on the internet, you show up all over the place.
We both get each other's Google alerts, interestingly enough. Yeah.
Oh, the Patrick Ford that I worked with, they sent him my tax returns once.
Oh, you don't want that.
So that's a problem.
Yeah, you definitely don't want that. Okay, that does it on the bonus show today. The Netherlands keeps closing prisons because they don't have enough prisoners. Not a problem that we have in the United States. Also, 7% of Catholic priests in Australia are accused of sexually abusing children, and more. DavidPakman.com/membership. Don't miss today's bonus show.